Hello everyone, Fox here, and it's time to go over the recent stream that Undead Labs released talking about update 10.1 and the new Go Bag DLC coming out. As usual, we're going to have a little bit of an overview, then we'll talk about the different weapons shown. Finally, we'll conclude with quotes from the various Undead Labs staff members, especially because it's a 1-hour stream and their lead producer, Aaron, was in this video. I will, of course, give you commentary throughout it, and if you're not familiar with my previous reaction videos, then you should know that I am definitely a critic of the current direction Undead Labs is going in, so don't expect this to be a big celebratory kind of video. Anyways, the important information to know is that this DLC is going to come out sometime in September. The exact day was not specified. All 10 of the weapons are going to be added on to Cash Beaumont, the bounty broker, and you'll have to unlock them by completing a unique challenge for each weapon. I will only be showing 9 of the 10 weapons because they themselves did not show the 10th. Apparently it was not ready to be demonstrated yet. This is also supposed to be a much smaller DLC, a much smaller update. There are a handful of bug fixes apparently, but it's mainly just these weapons, which is why it's more of a 10.1 update rather than like a 10.5. And those are basically the important things to know. Let's move on to the weapons, which are themed after a go bag, which is basically a bag that you would pack full of emergency stuff if you had to leave town in a hurry. But in reality, I would say that the real theme of these weapons is weapons that are being made to commemorate various content producers in the State of Decay 2 community. The first of these weapons is the DART 986 revolver. It is a 9mm revolver, meaning it is the second of its kind, and it's named after Mr. Dart, one of the content producers for State of Decay 2. In order to unlock this item, you are going to have to craft stamina items. That is the bounty associated with it. Overall, I do not like this weapon because it basically cucks the backup boss, the 9mm revolver from the previous weapons DLC, the Critical Response. And that's because Backup Boss was previously the only 9mm revolver in the game, so that was kind of its claim to fame, the only thing that made it unique, but now DART is in the game, so it's actually just going to take away from the uniqueness of the Backup Boss and add a weapon that performs just like any other revolver in the game, so overall a really stupid idea. Next up, you've got the Tow Hitch Club, one of the only melee weapons that they are adding into the game, and it looks really, really mediocre. In addition to that, they did not discuss what was the qualification to unlock this in the bounty system, so I don't know. But overall, it looks like it's really not a great weapon, so I would not advise using it unless you just really enjoy the appearance. After that, we have the MPX submachine gun, which is the most unique weapon in the pack because it is the first non-revolver to shoot the 557 HP rounds. I believe HP stands for hollow point. Before this, you had to use a pistol if you wanted to shoot the 357 rounds, but now you'll have this submachine gun that can fire in all 3 of the firing modes, semi-automatic, burst, and fully automatic. On the other hand, I've found that these kind of in-the-middle ammo types, where they're not the strongest, they're not the weakest, they're really just not special. They're overkill against regular zombies, and their additional firepower doesn't seem to make any difference against large targets like juggernauts or even really plagueards, as you've seen in some of my Nightmare episodes. Even really weak weapons in the game, if you attach a brake onto them, they're going to be just as effective as some of the heavier duty caliber rounds, except for the 50 cal. So overall, I consider this weapon to be kind of a novelty. Yeah, it's unique, but it's unique in a kind of a, I don't know, meh kind of way. And lastly, the challenge associated with the MPX is to kill enemies with assault weapons. Next up, we've got the 590 FDGB shotgun, which stands for Fall Down, Go Boom, which is another content producer in the State of Decay 2 community. The bounty for this weapon is to kill enemies with explosives, and overall it seems like a really ordinary shotgun that has more spread than usual, so similar to a sawn-off shotgun, and overall I don't know why you would want to use it unless you like the appearance. Next up, you've got the normal everyday AK-47 to throw in your pile of other AK-47s. This is the original AK-47 with the wooden finish. Other than that, there is nothing different about it. If you want to get it, the bounty associated with it is to collect ammo. This weapon is just the definition of a waste of time. There are already so many AK-47 variations in the game. You've got the standard AK-47, you've got this new wood grain AK-47, you've got the custom AK-47, you've got the Prepper's AK-47, and then you've got the Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage Super AK-47. There might even be some AK-47 variants that I either forgot or don't have. So there is nothing unique about this weapon. There's nothing different about this weapon, and it doesn't even fit into the go bag theme. Like, what, you're just gonna stow your AK-47 that you own into your go bag? Overall, I think this weapon sucks. I mean, I understand that there'll be a few AK enthusiasts that will enjoy it, and if that's you, that's perfectly understandable, but for anyone else who just doesn't care about these similar-looking cosmetic guns, it sucks. After that, they talked about the Trailblazer X2K, which is a 9mm carbine named after Blaze Experience, another State of Decay 2 content producer. Anyways, if the MPX submachine gun is the most unique weapon, then the Trailblazer X2K is probably the best weapon, and that's because it has an excellent scope that makes the weapon pinpoint accurate and uses the very cheap 9mm bullets. Now, on one hand, there are other weapons that are similar to the Trailblazer. However, they're not as accessible as this. You just go up and get the bounty and get it done. So if you're a brand new player, this weapon actually is going to be pretty good to go for. However, you will need to kill Plague Arts in melee combat as the bounty. For more experienced players in really lengthy communities, you've got plenty of weapons that are similar to this, so this will be no different than really any other gun, unless you just really like the unique blue color scheme. Kind of makes it look like a Nerf weapon. Or obviously if you're a fan of Blaze Experience. After that, you've got the Doomsday Carbine, and if the Trailblazer is the best weapon in this pack, and if the MPX is the most unique weapon in the pack, then this is the strangest looking weapon in the pack with a very, very long barrel. So this gun is a semi-automatic 45 caliber weapon carbine. I don't know what kind of gun this is, but yeah, it's semi-automatic 45 caliber and has an extremely high power rating, especially for a 45 caliber weapon. The bounty for this weapon is to craft ammo, and overall, this is the weapon that I'm the most curious about. I want to know how effective that really high power rating is going to be against Juggernauts and Plague Hearts. So this is the main weapon that I'm going to want to pick up and give a whirl. It has a really massive 50-round magazine, but it is limited by the fact that it can't go into fully automatic mode, so it's never going to have that maximum fire rate that you're looking for to bring down Plague Hearts quickly. But, we'll see. Next up, we've got the G45 FDE. I believe FDE stands for Flat Dark Earth, and this is another member of the Glock family, so you can just throw this ordinary 9mm pistol into your pile of very large, similar pistols. The only thing that makes this weapon different is the FDE part, meaning that the weapon is just a different color. It's kind of like this drab beige kind of color. You can unlock this weapon by crafting plague cures, and overall it's just one of these weapons I don't care about. There's nothing different about it. So let's just move on to the final weapon, the wrench knife, and the only other melee weapon in the pack. This is a close combat weapon. Close combat weapons don't have any stats, so they are all cosmetic items, and this one's basically a wrench that has been sharpened into a knife. The way you will unlock it is by collecting medicine. It's a close combat weapon though, so if you've used one, you've used all of them, so that wraps up the weapons. What do I think overall? I think these weapons are basically garbage for the most part. They don't add anything into the game. Once you complete the challenges, that will be the end of any fun you have from unlocking these, because once the challenges are done, they don't reappear. That's the end of them. And the weapons that they added, they don't really change the game in any way. They're just guns with different names and slightly different appearances. And I think all of the weapons are pretty awful except for the Trailblazer X2K. The Doomsday Carbine also might be decent, but the Trailblazer for sure is going to be really good if you are new to the game, because having a precision, lightweight 9mm weapon is really good. But anyways, let's move on to the second part of the reaction video where we look at a few quotes that I took from the 1-hour stream. And so the first quote that I chose, oh man, let's just listen to this one. I'm not even going to tell you.
Some of you are asking why we're just doing weapons packs right now. We're doing more weapons because we have a new bounty broker feature, so we have somewhere to put these weapons for you guys. So we want to make sure to expand the bounty broker and put more stuff in there. We also just want to make sure that you guys know that we're committing to putting stuff in this feature, and it's a system that we're going to develop. So who knows, maybe more stuff is going to be going into the bounty broker. We're not sure, but we just want you guys to know that we're expanding on all of these systems that we're going to be putting in, and we're going to keep releasing cool stuff for you guys.
Yeah. Oh man, this guy is like, why are you giving us garbage? Why are you giving us trash? It's like 10 minutes into their stream and someone's already asking that. Oh man, I should have given you a fair warning. Fair warning. The savagery is going to get turned up a notch. Anyways, this is Erin. This woman, she is the lead producer for Undead Labs, so she's like the highest ranking person there. And her answer is, well, we basically made this NPC who's a trash man, and that means it's just logical that you put trash inside of the trash man. And then she's like, we may do more with the bounty broker, but we don't know. In other words, what she's saying is, yeah, we're definitely assuredly going to make garbage for Cash Beaumont, and we may make something besides garbage, but we don't know for sure. And once again, that is from the lead producer. I want to emphasize that. Just not a great vote of confidence for Cash Beaumont. A lot of people are like, let's have some faith. They could add something really good in, and that's true. They could add something really interesting with Cash Beaumont, but I think it is just as likely, and some might say even more likely, that all they do is add in garbage, and if people don't like being given garbage, they might just abandon the mechanic altogether. Anyways, later on they would say this next quote, which really ties into what we just covered.
And for all of you wondering, this update is going to come out in September.
Yes.
So very soon for you guys. Teasing it a little early, so get hyped.
Because there's been much a clamoring. What are you going to do next? What are you going to do? This is what we're going to do next. And I'm sure as soon as we're done with this stream, what are you going to do after that?
And then we'll be like, this is what we're going to do after that.
What are you going to do next? Sure, people are always going to want to know what you're doing next, but you know, maybe people wouldn't be so dedicatedly wondering what you're going to do next if they were satisfied with what you are delivering right now. The reason they specifically want to know what you're doing next is because they want to get past the garbage that you are currently giving us. They want to know what comes after the garbage that we're being given. Now, some people have come to Undead Labs' defense here and say that, well, it's free stuff. What's the problem? And I would say the problem is that it's garbage. I don't care that it's free. It's garbage. All right, though, let's move on. This is an interesting quote. I found a nice little catch here. Let's listen in.
And we're also doing just a couple of updates to the bounty brokers, so a little bit of additional VO, just some polish on him. He's a fancy guy. He needs a little upgrading sometimes. Are the community requests making it in? That's a good question. I think I said this to you guys before, that I have the list of lists, this magical list that Jeffrey would talk about for a long time. And now that we have that wish list online, I do look at that. So please put what you want on there and vote for what you want, and I'm definitely making sure that stuff on the list is being prioritized and on the schedule. Because of, Microsoft and stuff, I can't tell you everything, but we do have a couple of more releases planned, and we do have stuff that you guys really been wanting in the future, so just stay with us.
And then we'll be like, this is what we're gonna do after that.
Microsoft and stuff, I can't tell you everything.
And then we'll be like, this is what we're gonna do after that.
Because there's been much a clamoring. What are you going to do next? What are you going to do? This is what we're going to do next.
Microsoft and stuff, I can't tell you everything.
So it sounds like Cash Beaumont will get a new voice. I think that's a really good idea, especially because they're trying to showcase these weapons, which, while I think are garbage, I think you should still try to present them in a fascinating way to make them seem like they're better than they actually are. And when you've got this unique NPC who has his own unique look, he changes his outfit, but he uses the generic Red Talon merchant voice, I just think that's super, super cheap. Once again, I want to reiterate that Cash Beaumont is the first consistent NPC in State of Decay 2 that's physically on the map and is the same person every single time. He's not random. So this is one of the opportunities Undead Labs has to try and build a somewhat interesting character. Maybe he appears in State of Decay 3, becomes a reoccurring character that you care about, but they've got to do more to make him interesting. In addition to that, you heard it yourself that Erin has the ability to determine the priorities at Undead Labs, so she's a woman with quite a bit of power at Undead Labs, probably second to Microsoft. And as a result, you probably should give your suggestions or vote for what you like on the wish list. I will post it in the pinned comment. That said, I don't think that the wish list is really going to change that much no matter how many people you bring in. I think people are just going to be asking for the same things. You're seeing a consensus on the wish list. People want a new map, they want weather, they want a new leader type, they want more character customizations, including beards, and if you get more people in there to vote, that's a good thing, but it's going to pile up on the same issues, because that's what people want. Here's one about a specific community request, a new city-themed map.
A city would be really cool, Phil. That would be cool. Sorry, probably not going to happen. Cities are really intense. That's a lot of buildings and stuff in a tight space. So it's a lot, but it's a really cool idea.
And in this case, I am going to take Undead Labs' side here. I do think that a city map would be really cool. I absolutely would love to play on a city map, but let's be honest here, the base game, which is much less complicated than an urban area, is already super, super buggy, constantly in a state of breaking down and being repaired. And I think a city map would basically be unplayable. Next up, though, we're going to hear about how long is Undead Labs going to continue supporting State of Decay 2?
So, quite a few of you asked how long we're planning on supporting the game. I believe Henry was on a couple of streams ago and let you guys know that we are definitely looking to invest more heavily into this game.
If he leaves on
so we are trying to do regular releases for you, introducing content, new features, new systems that you guys can interact with, just improve on your game. And we have Microsoft's backing in doing that, which has made us really excited, and that's why we're putting more resources and doing more releases now. So to answer that question, we are planning to support it in the foreseeable future. We're not entirely sure for how long, but as long as our players and our fans are really hyped about the game, I mean, we love this game, so we want to go for it and for you.
Let me start out by apologizing. There's just nothing I can do about the audio here. Erin is very soft-spoken and the game is super loud. Someone at Undead Labs needs to learn how to balance the audio from the voice and the game. It's not hard to do. Just go to YouTube, type it in the search bar, whatever the name of your recording software is, and ask YouTube how you reduce the game volume during a stream. As for what she said, it's that typical BS, PR, corporate gobbledygook language. We're going to support it for the foreseeable future, but we don't know how long. So basically a completely worthless answer. What I can gather from this is that they do have some projects coming in the future, but we have no idea the size or the extent of them. And they're being so tight-lipped, so hush-hush because of the whole Microsoft thing, can't let the trade secrets get out, that they basically just leave us in the dark. So we just have to have faith in Undead Labs, I guess. Anyways, let's move on to a very specific community request about outfits, maps, and customization.
Yes, and I see all of you asking for outfits and maps. Message heard. That's all I have to say.
Redacted.
Look at the way she responded to that, and I'm like, what are you expecting? You just asked for more people to get on the wish list, and now you're getting more feedback about people wanting outfits, maps, and customizations. She has this really awkward, is it frustration I detect in that expression? Then there's like a deliberate pause as if trying to regain thought before she awkwardly laughs it off. That is the kind of body language and expression that someone would give when they are frustrated but are purposefully maintaining their composure. I do the exact same thing when I get frustrated in the games. You'll hear me, I'll say something and then I'll just pause, and then I might, smack my lips real quick and say, it's fine, okay, or alrighty. And that little pause is basically me regaining my wits and regaining my composure. So if I'm reading that correctly, and you tell me down in the comment sections if I am reading too far into it, but I feel like that was a bit of exasperation coming out. And like I said, if you want more people to participate in that wish list, you better be prepared to hear more of the same. People want outfits, maps, customization, weather, new leader, beards. That's what people are going to be asking for. You know what they're not going to be asking for? More garbage weapons added into the bounty broker. Anyways, let's move on to the next quote about tethering. This gets asked all the time because no one enjoys the tethering mechanic.
I was asked to talk about how, quote unquote, we can't just add servers and automatically remove the tether. I'm sure this question has come up multiple times, but in video games, when you have multiplayer and you host it on a server, there's a certain infrastructure that you need. And actually that infrastructure, like that base layer of your game, kind of feeds up into all of your systems. And so in order to redo that, we would have to actually go into like the base layer of our game and rewrite probably like over 50% of the code. So it's just a really huge investment. It's not impossible, but it would be challenging for us, and it would prevent us from giving you other things that we would really love to give you guys in this game. So that's kind of why it hasn't been done now, and I know it would be really cool. Hopefully at some point in the future we can put a team on focusing on multiplayer experience, but that's kind of the reason why, and hopefully you guys can understand that and cut us a break there.
So you heard it here, that it could be done. They could redesign the game's infrastructure to permit the game to function without tethering. It would, of course, be a very challenging thing to do. But the reasoning at the very end is what gets me. They're like, well, we wouldn't want to invest time into fixing this really major limitation of State of Decay 2 because it would interfere with our ability to deliver you the content we want to give you right now. You mean content like the Critical Response DLC, like the Go Bag DLC? Let me tell you, between you and me, you viewers out there, I would be completely fine if Undead Labs did nothing but bug fixes for an extended amount of time and then just release this insanely good DLC that just fixes a lot of the major issues with State of Decay. I don't think anyone is worried about, oh man, if Undead Labs doesn't give me some new crappy weapons every other month, I don't know what I'll do. I might have a panic attack. I'll feel like they're abandoning the game. We believe you. We believe that you are going to continue supporting the game. You do not need to release these pieces of garbage weapons. You can go away for a little while. Don't worry. We'll be here waiting to play something, especially if it adds substance to State of Decay 2. Anyways, let's move on to another subject involving a weapon request, the nail gun.
Let's see, what about adding a nail gun? So that is, the nail gun is a relatively common, like, zombie movie thing. Unfortunately, something like that would require... One, it's a pneumatic weapon, which is a totally different system. And also, you need nails. And for a nail gun, it's basically a unique system and a unique ammo, unless there's a bunch of different types of nail guns that we'd want to put in the game. We're really trying to get bang for your buck. And we've got a bunch of different ammo types already in the game, and I think adding more would complicate things. It's a cool idea, and who knows what we'll have in the future. But for now, I think we're going to stick with the ammo that we currently got.
Here's this tired old line again. Oh, the weapon, it uses a different kind of ammo system. That would be complicated. We want to give you bang for your buck. No, you mean you want to create boring, repetitive, reskinned weapons that use the exact same ammo types we currently have. In addition to this, why does it matter that a nail gun is pneumatic? Why does that matter? Why does that factor into how you would have the gun perform? If you wanted to, you could have a crossbow shoot out, I don't know, pork rinds. You could program a gun to shoot other guns as ammunition. It doesn't matter that it is a pneumatically powered weapon. All that matters is if you are going to give it a unique bullet travel. And you don't even need to do that. You might actually just make it a hit scan weapon like all the guns in the game, and then it would literally just be a gun. Anyways, this is going on forever. Let's move on to the final quote about weapons that they're giving us versus the content that we want.
Reminder, the people who make weapons aren't the same that make other stuff. That's why I said we have different teams floating around. So weapons, now that we have unleashed some cool new systems on you guys, like the Bounty Broker, we can start putting these out into the game. And it doesn't mean we're not working on other things. So just want to make sure that you guys aren't frustrated with us not giving you what you're looking for, because we have lots of cool stuff in the works, and we're just going to put out what we have and continue to give you guys new stuff.
Because there's been much a clamoring. What are you going to do next? What are you going to do? This is what we're going to do next.
And then we'll be like, this is what we're gonna do after that.
You know, Microsoft and stuff, I can't tell you everything.
And then we'll be like, this is what we're gonna do after that.
How is this supposed to alleviate people's frustrations? You've got cool things coming down in the future. That's a very ambiguous term, especially because cool by Undead Labs terms could be very different from what we think as a community is cool. But of course, you're not going to tell us what you're working on because of this whole crap with Microsoft, so we just have to once again just take it on faith that what you're making is cool. This is the reason why people don't trust developers, and this isn't aimed at specifically Undead Labs. This is just in general. People do not trust corporations and video game developers because of this. They want you to trust them and buy into their pre-orders, buy into their season passes, buy into their DLC, but they're not willing to tell you what it is. They're not willing to tell you what you should be putting your faith in. There is no way that is going to alleviate people's frustrations. In fact, maybe you should see it from the other way around. Maybe you should be glad that people are frustrated, because the reason why people are frustrated is because they either like the game and want it to be better, or they are trying to like the game. That's why people are frustrated. If they weren't frustrated, if they were just like, you know what, I'm just through with this game, then they wouldn't be frustrated. They'd be apathetic. They just wouldn't care. They'd be, no, I'm moving somewhere else. I'm not going to complain about this game because I just don't give a crap. So what we're seeing here are constant questions from the community and constant deflections, just constant non-answers from Undead Labs, and I don't think any of these streams are going to be working towards alleviating players' frustrations, and I don't think any of these streams are going to be bolstering players' confidence in State of Decay 2. And overall, I think that really succinctly puts my conclusion on the stream for State of Decay 2 10.1, the Go Bag update. The weapons are just superfluous, pointless garbage, and the questions are really good, but the answers are just dodging, deflecting, giving non-answers. And that means that I think the stream fails at what they kind of wanted to do. Yes, they informed us about what we're going to get, but they are not going to be relieving people's frustrations, and they are not going to be bolstering people's confidence with streams like this. And lastly, I do want to emphasize one last time that this did come from Aaron, Undead Labs' lead producer, so I believe their highest ranking employee. But at any rate, that's what I think about the 10.1 stream. That's my reaction to it. Let me know down in the comments section, do you think I'm being too hard on Undead Labs? But that's going to wrap this up at any rate. Like this video if it was informative. Subscribe for future State of Decay 2 content. Of course, remember that you don't have to be good to get good.